Welcome to FootballGameplan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Emery Hunt, the czar of the playbook, bringing you part 2 of our 2013 NFL Draft Recap Show. We've already spoken with our senior draft analyst, Chris James. Now let's talk to our coaching correspondent, Leman Anderson, to see what his thoughts were on this past April's draft. And we're here right now with the coach, Leman Anderson, our coaching correspondent. We're going to talk about the 2013 NFL Draft and get his thoughts on what he considered to be the biggest surprises, the winners, the losers of the draft so far. We know you can't really evaluate a draft until 3 years later, but you still can give your instant analysis. So, Leman, I just want to start off by asking you, who were your biggest surprises, or what was your biggest surprise this past draft?
Well, what's going on, E, man? Seen you in a while. How you been doing, man?
I've been doing all right. You're looking good, man. You're looking good. You former safety, but you filled out your frame.
Yeah. But man, my biggest surprise is the quarterback selections, man. You know, it was only a handful of them drafted. EJ Manuel in the first round at 16. That surprised me coming from Buffalo. You know, everybody thought Geno Smith was the guy, but apparently Buffalo had something else up their sleeve. But yeah, just one in the first round. You know, that hadn't happened for a couple of years. That's pretty surprising.
And when you say surprising as far as EJ Manuel, are you saying, were you surprised that it was just one quarterback, or was it the fact that it was EJ Manuel over Geno Smith? Or both?
Both of them. You know, it was just EJ over Geno. Man, I talked to a couple of my friends, about it. It's one of those situations where you're taking a gamble. You know, they want a big frame, big guy, so they got EJ. You know, he real big, real big, tall, 6'5" guy. 220 something like that, 215. But I think his upside may be a little bit more than Geno. I guess he's looking for that next Kaepernick type guy. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's surprising. I mean, I guess you can kind of understand it, but do you take that gamble in the first round? I don't know.
Now you were a former safety, and we know nowadays you got these guys, these big quarterbacks, or these athletic quarterbacks. So let's say you see a guy like a Kaepernick or an EJ Manuel coming down the sideline, and you're the last line of defense. Is that something you want to see coming down the sideline?
Woo, man! 6'5", 215, running 4.6 or 4.640. That's a train coming down that sideline.
There's a lot of momentum coming your way.
Yeah, he come away, man. But I mean, hit him hard, hit him often, to stop that.
Now, let's look at some of your winners. You list a couple of teams as your biggest winners. Overall, who do you have as the biggest winner of the 2013 draft?
Overall, Jim Harbaugh, man, he doing some wonderful things in San Francisco. He by far, San Francisco had the best draft. But they did, another thing about San Francisco, they pretty much gave Dallas a highway robbery. The boys moved up from 30 to 16 and only gave up a second round pick. They moved up half the first round and only gave up that second round pick. So that's a real big steal. But in my book, Minnesota's doing real good. The last couple of years, they had 2 in the first round, and they made their whole draft count every single year. They got Xavier Rhodes, the cornerback. They got 2 guys from Florida, the state of Florida. But yeah, I like Xavier Rhodes, real big, real physical press corner. Sharif Floyd, real thick to take Kevin Williams to take his spot, whenever he retires. But I like what Minnesota's doing. They're doing real good.
Yeah, and the fact that they added Cordero Patterson, a guy that I really like. You're not supposed to be that big and that fast moving like a running back. So I think that just adds a lot more explosiveness to the receiving core for Minnesota. So this is a talented team. Running game, tight end play is great. The receivers now with Greg Jennings, and now you also add Cordero Patterson. A lot of good things in Minnesota. This really all falls on the quarterback. Now, there have to be some winners and there's some losers. Who are your biggest losers, so to speak, in this draft so far?
Dallas, man. Dallas is killing it. I think Jerry Jones got to figure something out, man. He got to. But like I said earlier, you don't move down 16 spots in the first round and only pick up a second round pick. That's valuable. Right. That first round, you finna get a starter, a 10-year starter for your team in that first round, hopefully. But they drafted, they had a reach, drafting a center from Wisconsin. You know, in the first round, you know, he was predicted a second, third round type guy. They drafted him in the first round. So, you know, now that's another hit or miss. You know, Dallas they're not doing too good. They needed a safety. A starting safety, they got one in the fourth round. You know, that's not smart drafting at all.
And when you look at the center, it's funny because when I went back and took a look at my mocking the draft as far as my team-specific mock draft, I gave them Travis Frederick in the third round. So to see him go in the first, it was kind of amazing. Also, they got B.J. Webb, what I thought they should have gotten him in the fourth round. But again, a lot of talent on the roster, but they have to put it together. And one last question before I let you get out of here. And undrafted free agents nowadays generally have a lot of success in making squads. Who's one guy that surprised you that he went undrafted that you will see on an NFL roster?
Oh, you're gonna see Taylor Bray. You know, I liked the guy. I liked him. I liked him a lot. You know, I thought he was gonna get drafted. I thought he was gonna be like a fourth, fifth round guy. But unfortunately, the quarterbacks, you know, pretty much got washed out the draft. But I think Taylor Bray is gonna be a real good guy. I think he's gonna be a name. He's gonna be a name. You're gonna remember.
He got the arm strength, and he definitely has, you know, what you look for physically in a quarterback. We'll see how that works out. So, Leman, thank you for joining us, providing us your insight. The coach, Leman Anderson, you can follow him on Twitter @AndersonPitts.